Hello and welcome to Frank's School. Oh, this looks complicated. It's not. This should be pretty easy. This is the 137th day, and I guess I'll probably give this the name Now What, because I have just come to the end of two long processes. I did guided viewing of James Burke's The Day the Universe Changed, and I read through my Decentralist Manifesto. Before that, I had read through Wedge's Paradigm. Now what? Well, before I go on to this, there's a couple of things I thought about to say still about Burke. The logistics. I wanted to mention something about that. Imagine how he put that together. I mean, he wrote, because he's all over the globe, all over the place, and he had to have that written, and as he traveled, do those various segments. I mean, sometimes he'll start a sentence in, say, Scotland and finish it in Germany. It was masterful. And I think of Robert McNeill's The Story of English as another series that I think maybe next year, if I go on with Frank's School, and I think I will, I may do a similar thing with this, although this is much easier to understand, but very, very important. Where he also travels a lot around for the purposes of teaching what he wants to teach. Kuhn is the name of the man who wrote the essay, and it's the structure of scientific revolutions. With those words, you can find that if you want. All right, that had to do with what was going on before. All right, now what's happening now is 3 weeks from tomorrow, I am going to set off on a trip to Germany and Holland, going back to Europe. And I mentioned this earlier in the course. I mean, the time is coming. I haven't spent as much time sharing with you the details of the planning of this trip as I did last year with the trip that I made to Portugal, or even the trip before, the year before. But this is the third year now that I am including a trip to Europe as part of Frank's School. This trip, I'm making it now partly, well, I don't want to go into the details of the planning of it, but I studied the prices and the tickets, and I like to stay in the off season if at all possible, not only because the airplane ticket is cheaper, but also because things are not crowded and everything's cheaper. And right at the end of March was the best time. Also because these museums that I'm going to go to, many of them, maybe all of them, well, most of them, open April 1st, just about April 1st. And so that will be practically there at opening day. Well, I'm going to northern Germany and Holland. And my purpose, well, I'm going to visit the Hawklings. I have such good friends in Germany. Thomas and Shirley, and you've seen them both in this course. Thomas sat right here on a stool in this very space before I had done this and sang If You're Going to San Francisco when the room was all empty. But a better performance of his, and I'll give you the link in the description of this, is my video, Frank's School. There's the number. First year, 180th day, the third video. Basically, it ended the year. There you'll see Thomas. That was ad hoc. I was spur of the moment. I came into his living room when I was staying there, and there he was, and he performed right then and there. Well, in that very room, he's going to be having, or they're going to be having a party, and I'm going to be there. It's going to be his birthday party, March 29th, Saturday. It should really be something because he is a wonderful musician and his band is going to be there. It's going to be something, I'm sure. And I'm excited about it, and they are too. A little worried, but excited. And we're going to try to film it. Well, we'll film it. We're going to have maybe 6 or 7 cameras all going because as good a musician as Thomas is, I have never seen film footage that showed how good it was. So we're going to give it our best shot at making a movie, if you will, a film about the music at that party. All right, so I want to visit the Hawklings. And after that party, that's going to be on Saturday, by Monday we're going to set out and we're going to drive here. But let me go on to say here, another thing, why make a trip like this? I've said before, people don't believe me, but I say I actually don't like to travel, which people say, stop saying that. I like to learn. And travel is such a good way to learn. Well, I want to learn my German. Imagine, I'm going to be surrounded by German speakers, 30 of them at this party. And back in the first year, I immersed myself in German, but it was really, really hard. I knew it was going to be, but, well, I'm going to do it again, and this time in spades, you'd say. But my German is better now, and you know, it's trial by fire in a sense. And then spending 2 weeks immersed in German. Now Thomas speaks perfect English, and Shirley speaks and understands some English too. But it's going to be German. Well, in the course here, toward that end, I'm going to be teaching over the next 3 weeks, loving German grammar. Grammar. I already have loving German. Language, loving the German language, but loving German grammar. That's almost like, what? You can't be serious. German grammar is hard. I used to say, when people said, well, what's the easiest language? And I'd say, there's no easy language. They're all hard. But I've changed my mind now. They are not all equally hard. German is, in fact, harder. At least for an English speaker, but I think in general it's harder than English, it's harder than any of the Romance languages because of the grammar. And in a way, I think it's a little bit like swimming upstream. I wonder how many people actually successfully manage to learn German who don't know German in the first place, that don't just study it but actually manage to reach fluency in it and not... Well, maybe I'll say this more later on. Shirley has told me before that in Germany there are so many people who speak German badly that they're used to it. They don't think it's necessarily funny or anything like that. They're just used to it because the foreigners that live there, they never speak German right. So anyways, I think it's a little bit like swimming upstream trying to learn German well. But we'll see. Now, these open, so I'm going to visit the Hawklings and spend 2 weeks with them. I'm going to improve my German, and I'm going to open-air museums. I said something about this before. That way, I'm not only traveling in space, but I'm also going to be traveling in time. It's like I'm going to be visiting the Germany of 200 years ago, 400 years ago, by going to these open-air museums. I want to see the vernacular architecture. Now, the Decentralist Manifesto applies exactly to this. In that, I had said that homestead engineering should be able to rationally design homesteads. Well, the book was never completed. But as I also suggested, cultures have, through trial and error, come up with solutions to homestead designs, and I'll get to be looking at them. And also timber framing. And the museums, Gifhorn, you'll have to, if you look for this, the name is International. It starts with International Wind and Water Museum at Gifhorn. Detmold is the largest open-air museum in Germany. Hagen, these are in Germany. Arnhem is in Holland. I think it's the largest open-air museum in Holland. And we're going to visit Amsterdam and Utrecht. And Thomas is going to stay with us the whole time. That was a surprise, even in Utrecht. I mean, I'm excited about this trip, and they are too. Utrecht, just because, well, it's hard to explain why we're staying in Utrecht. I didn't want to stay overnight in Amsterdam if I could avoid it. And I only want to go to Amsterdam because of a museum. But Shirley's never been there, so this is going to be quite a trip. And already I'm beginning to think about another trip, maybe in the summer or fall, where I want to go back to Minho, Portugal. And I want to go there. This also has to do, now that I have read through and shown you the Decentralist Manifesto and Wedge's paradigm, now I can feel that if you want to, you can understand how I think. If you want to. And I continue to be so interested in Minho, Portugal. I want to go back there this time to see what's left, see the farmers' markets, the local markets, because for the decentralized economy that I have seen in Brazil and envision possible, you need local markets, and I believe they're there. I'd like to go see them. I'd like to study the quintais, the small holdings, if I had time. In other words, not be doing other things, be specifically going to try to look at them. And especially the kitchens. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Possibly using woofers, woofing sites. I think maybe I've mentioned that before. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm already beginning to think about that. And then the other thing I'm going to do in a second series each day, I think, for a while, is I'm going to show you the books that I still have that pertain to this research and this thinking, and that will be fun. In other words, instead of giving you showing you a page with the names of books on there for the bibliography, which I think you will be able to see if I can get the rest of it on to my blog. I'll see about that. But I actually want you to see the books because I have quite a collection of them. And that will be fun. They're old, they're dusty, some of them are falling apart. But, all right, so there you go. That's what's going on. Tomorrow we'll start on German grammar. That'll be fun. Bye for now.